But we get so excited when we see our kids doing those kinds of things. And you know why we do that? I believe it's because in Genesis it tells us that we're created in God's image. Do you know that we, even if we have rejected God and don't believe that He's real and all that stuff, we still bear His image. We still have, samples, little pieces of His character within us. And so when we, being created in His image, see other people doing good, all we're doing is reflecting His character when He sees His children doing good. And when God sees His children serving selflessly, He just loves pouring out His grace on those who choose to do that. I mean, Ruth is there at this field benefiting from the provision of Boaz. Why? Because by faith she wrapped her arms around her mother-in-law's neck and said, I'm going to follow God. I don't care what you say. By faith she woke up that morning and said, you know what? I don't have penny one. I don't have a plan. All I know is that I need to go to somebody's field, and I'm trusting God to find favor on me, to put His favor on me, and lead me to a place where I can do something to provide for us. By faith, she's doing whatever she can to help her and Naomi live. And God looks down on that and says, yeah! I'm about to open the floodgates on that chick. Because she has got it going on and how to live this life. I love being a part of stories like that, or hearing about stories like that. And we've been sharing with you some of the things that have been happening in our congregation through the messes of their lives. I want you to meet a very special friend of mine, Bonnie, and I want to hear the story that she tells about how God provided for her as she was providing for someone else.
Hi, my name's Bonnie Wilcox, and I've been coming to Bay Life for about 4 years now. Over the past couple years, I've struggled with some hard times. In 2005, I actually lost my husband with a bout of cancer. I tried to continue on with my faith in God, but somehow I got a little off track and felt that maybe I could plan my life better, and it wasn't working out so good. So over the past several weeks, I'd kind of felt the need to come back into church, and my daughter too had been with me at church, and she too had wondered. And for some reason, she came to me 2 weeks ago and asked me, Mom, can we go to church Sunday? And I said, I too have been feeling like I needed to get back where we belonged. Mark was preaching the story of Ruth, and in the midst, he was kind of telling us a little story about his son and how his life is, and about his son dropping and falling on his guitar. I had been struggling financially, and I had a guitar that I had bought for my husband, Danny, and he loved it so much. When he passed, I just wasn't willing to give it up. But I was struggling and decided that maybe if I sold the guitar, it would help me get back on my feet a little bit. So I'd taken it to a shop and tried to sell it, but they really weren't willing to give me what I needed or what I wanted for the guitar. I knew that God was speaking to me and wanted me to give Mark my guitar that I had. And I came up and told him about it and asked that he take it and enjoy it as much as Danny did. I had taken a different position at work because I felt that it was important at this time for me to make a move. And when I did this, I had actually ended up losing a rewards and recognition at our work because I kind of fell through the cracks. I was kind of hurt about it, and I had talked to my boss, and she said she was sorry, but there really wasn't anything she could do. It had already come the time that they had recognized people, and therefore I wasn't going to be rewarded this year. The Monday after I talked to Mark, and I was sitting at my desk, and the phone rang, and it was my boss, and she asked me to come into the office. She had talked to my old boss, and she had talked to her boss, and they really felt that I needed to receive this rewards and recognition. And instantly I knew that it was God. It was exactly the price that I had paid for the guitar when I originally bought it. So I came here to tell you this story so that you know, sometimes we lose our way, but if we just listen and hear what God has to say, He will provide us with whatever our needs are.
I'm honored to have Danny's guitar. I did Danny's funeral. And I'll play it with joy. But you know why I'll play it with joy even more than just having a guitar? I love that God used the guitar to teach my friend about his provision. And that when we are available to our God to do for others, inevitably he's available to us to do for us. The story goes on, it says this. At mealtime, Boaz said to her, "Come on over here. Have some bread to dip in the wine vinegar." We're going to see kind of the story shift. Boaz apparently meets Ruth in the field, and he says, "Hey, don't worry about it. Don't go anywhere else. I'll take care of you here." And Ruth said, "I don't know why you're doing this. This is so crazy. I don't see myself as even equal to one of your servant girls, but whatever. If this is what you want to do, I'm going to get back to gleaning." Well, she goes and gleans some more. The bell rings for lunch, and Ruth didn't come that day with like her Lunchables. She didn't have something packed. She didn't have anything. And so, I'm assuming that she's just going to work straight through lunch. The more barley she gets, the better. She can eat later that night. But Boaz says, hey, Ruth, put down all that stuff. Put down all your work. Just come over. You want a sandwich? Let me get you a sandwich. Come on over here. And I guess they had wine vinegar sandwiches. But not only that, because most of us, we've talked about that before. We need to be a church that's willing to give to people who are in need. I know many of you carry food around in your cars. If you don't, it's a great idea so that when you pull up next to someone who's homeless and who has need, don't give them your money. They might drink it or shoot it up or whatever. But have something in your car so that you can just say, "Here, bro, you hungry?" And you can. And so many of us, have basically started the process of providing for someone else by just sticking a lunch through a window. But Boaz isn't just sticking the sandwich through the window with Ruth. He's going to go further. He says, "Hey, Ruth, here's your sandwich. You want to sit down?" And Ruth's like, I'm just a widow. No, he says, "Come on, sit over here next to me." And so Ruth goes over, and look what it says there. It says, after she sat down with the harvesters, she basically was offered, he basically offered her some roasted grain. Now here's a picture of this. This is getting really crazy. Because Boaz didn't just shove her a sandwich. He didn't just say, "Come on, sit down next to me in a place of honor." He says, "Hey, I got some chips. You want some of my chips? Go ahead, take some of my chips." And he takes his own food. What an honor to be bestowed upon. He takes his own food and he says, "Here you go. You can have mine." The story goes on and it basically implies there that she ate a lot of food. It says that she ate all she wanted. And she ate all that she wanted, and then she had some, what? Left over. So apparently Boaz kept making sandwiches and kept passing the chips to the point that she's like, "Really, I can't eat all this." And he's like, "Oh, no problem. To-go box." And he summons one of his other servants, and he's like, "Here you go." And they just wrap it all up, and he says, "You can take that home." Quite a lunch. It says that after she got up to go glean, so she's like, "Thank you." She's just, I'm just picturing her being so humble and full. And she takes her, her to-go box, and she goes back to gleaning, and Boaz says, "All right, fellas, come here." And he gathers them up, and he says, he gives them some more orders. Now, he's already given these orders once in chapter 2, but as we all know, ladies, men have to be told twice, right? That was your joke for the morning. All right, anyway. And so he gathers them up one more time, and he reminds me. He says, "All right, listen, fellas, even if she gathers among the sheaves," now understand, even if she comes into the part of the field that's not designated for her to pick in, I want you to let her do that. Don't embarrass her. Don't speak lewdly to her. Don't make her feel uncomfortable. Welcome her. The implication in there is do this, or you'll have to deal with me. He goes on and he says, rather, instead of making her feel uncomfortable, pull out some of the stalks for her from the bundles and leave them for her to pick up. And then when she does that, don't rebuke her for it. All right, now he's just gone and done it. Because he's telling his team, his crew of harvesters, hey, not only do I want you to let her pick, in the grains that she's not supposed to pick in, not only do I not want you to, make crass remarks to this, she's not a virgin, widow, foreigner, which was totally free game, apparently, these harvest guys, cat calls and all that mess. He says, but here's what else I want you to do. I want you to keep working as hard as you always work, but I want you to take a portion of what you've pulled up from the ground, and I want you to stack it nice and neat in little piles for little Ruth to come and grab. What's he done? He's made his servants Ruth's servants.